It is August 17th, 2020, and this is a select board meeting. And as a preliminary matter, I'm Doreen DeFazio, Vice Chair. I'll be running the meeting this evening to confirm all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. And you all stated that you can. So members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Edward Frisbee?
Here.
Colleen Roy?
Roy here.
Matthew Often?
Matthew Often's here.
Okay, and we have no staff expected tonight and no speakers anticipated. So the open meeting law of the Grafton Select Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. Oh, I just went way ahead of myself. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's orders suspend the requirement of open meeting law to have all meetings in a public accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the town's website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so as long as reasonable public access is afforded, and so that public access can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless some participation is required by law. This meeting will not be featuring public comment because this is more of a workshop meeting and not public discussion. And for this meeting, Select Board is convening by video conference via Zoom as posted on the town's website, identifying the public how to join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured in the meeting. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body will be available on the town's website with meeting minutes unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. So we will now turn to the first item on the agenda, and we only have 2 items tonight. So just bear with me while I open this up. Okay, so under discussion A, we're reviewing tonight the temporary town administrator resumes and taking any necessary action. So I'm open to suggestions from the board, but my thought was perhaps a good way of handling this would be, I did speak to Peter today and I have his top picks as well to take into consideration. But maybe we could just kind of go around this virtual room and everybody gives their top picks, whether that's, it'd be ideal to get it down to 3. If you have 1 or 2 in mind, that's fine. And I will take notations and we can see it first. If there's overlap there, there's probably some that all of us might unanimously pick. And then we take it from there. I think the goal, in my opinion, is to have 3 to 5 finalists to be able to interview tomorrow evening. So if anyone disagrees with that or has a better way of doing this, if you're prepared, or if you're not prepared and need a few more minutes to look over the resumes that were presented, let me know. But that's my thought of how we'd run this meeting tonight. Sound okay?
Sounds good.
Colleen?
I just wanted to let everyone know that one of the candidates, Mr. Reed, reached out to me this evening and he is dropping out. He is no longer interested in the position.
Thank you for letting me know. Okay. Or letting us know, I should say. All right, so keeping that in mind, Colleen, do you want to start? And, we can go into, if you want to go into detail how you chose your final candidates, that's fine. Or we can have that, pose that as a discussion later if there are candidates that are kind of competing for the finalist interview. Totally up to you. And you can give me your, I guess, top three.
I have a top 4 list. Maybe we'll just do that.
That's fine.
And then I don't know how to get into specifics because I don't want to say anything that could be hurtful to anybody either on how I came to my picks, but my picks are Thomas Garino, Theodore Kozak, Kelly Hebert, and Carter Terrazzini. Those are the 4 I kind of landed on, especially after finding out Mr. Reed has dropped out. And I really would like to, before I want to see how they interview too. That's going to be a big deciding factor for me. So, but those are the 4 that I landed on.
Okay, thank you. So probably to make this a little more clear to the public at home too, these are finalists from a list that the select board has received for temporary town administrator. And I agree with you, Colleen, bringing that up. I mean, some of these people, they're at this point unknowns to us. And so this is just kind of a first phase of, based on the material we have in front of us, we're making choices on what we think as a board would be the best fit for Grafton to bridge between our Old Town administrator and who we're going to hire in a full-time job. But that by no means, says that if you pick these people that you can't change your mind tomorrow. If there's someone else who comes up or someone who, the final appointment will be made at tomorrow night's meeting. So, Colleen, I got 2 out of the 4. So could you please say those names again?
Sure. Thomas Garino, Theodore Kozak, Kelly Hebert, and Carter Terrazzini.
Thank you. Mr. Often, do you want to go next?
Sure. I also have a top 4. And my top 4 are Thomas Guarino, Kelly Hebert, Nina Nazarian, and Carter Terrazzini.
Great, thank you. Mr. Prisby?
Yeah, my 3 are Carter Terrazzini, Kelly Hebert, and Tom Garino. And it's not to say that if those 3 weren't there, there are 3 more resumes that I think were pretty good. But yeah, it sounds like we're sort of moving in the same direction.
So Tom Garino, Kelly Hebert, who was your 3rd again, Ed?
Carter Terrazzini.
Thank you. Okay. And I just want to read off Peter's. So Peter's was Kelly Hebert, Nina Nazarian, and the 3rd one was Robert Reed. So I'm not going to add that to the list since he dropped out. And then my 3, I actually had 4 originally, but I broke it down to 3. So I had Theodore Kozak, Kelly Hebert, and Nina Nara. I can't say her last name. I don't want to say it incorrectly. Is it Nazarian?
Varian, I think.
Narian?
Sounds right.
Yep. Varian, yeah.
Okay, so those were my 3. So based on this, I feel like the board is heading in the same direction. So I'll say, based on the numbers, that Kelly Hebert has the highest. It looks like unanimously, we all chose Kelly. So I think she stands as a candidate who will definitely be a finalist for tomorrow evening. We also have Carter Terrazini, who has 3 votes on the board. So I would say that he would also be a candidate for tomorrow night. And what is the board's opinion on how many candidates we should be interviewing tomorrow?
Madam Vice Chair, you know, 3 or 4 sounds good. If you were to give each candidate a half an hour, which I think is, it could easily go longer, right? I mean, we've all been in job interviews. Then that's 2 hours with 4 people. Does that sound fair? Because there are just, I mean, there's some resumes here, like Nina Zarian has a great resume. She was in Littleton for 1.5 years. I'm curious what the deal is. I'd like to, and I'm not going to get that out of this. So she might be perfect. I don't know, you know.
Anyone else?
I'd agree with that. I think we should narrow down to 4. I think that's going to be the sweet spot. Ideally, if we had a little bit more vetting, we could reduce it further. But given that really we're looking to kind of make a, relatively quick decision, and it's going to be based on the interviews, I think I would favor, given the, a medium amount of candidates, of longish type of interview, plus the resume would give me, I think, enough information that I'd need to make a decision. So thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Roy, you have anything to add?
No, 4 sounds good. And based on the way everybody voted tonight, we've pretty much narrowed it down to 4, it seems like.
Yeah, that's good. So I think if you're all in agreement, based on our votes again, so it sounds like Kelly Hebert and Carter Terrazini are both top candidates. Do you want to have a discussion at this point about the other candidates who were top choices? And Mr. Prisby, you just brought up Nina. I did choose her based on her work in Princeton for a few years, and the fact that she is I know who she is, and I know that she's had a good reputation. So I'd be interested in interviewing her too, and sort of asking the story about Littleton, or how her professional experiences may landed her into an interim job for Grafton instead of potentially a longer stint. So I would add her to the list. I will say too, Mr. Kozak was employed from the town of Northbridge for 10 years, and he's a retired town administrator from Northbridge, as you all read in his resume. So I chose him as a top candidate, again, just because I think he knows a lot about the town of Grafton, a lot about central Massachusetts. He's retired. And so, for me, sort of, fits a good profile of someone who would also kind of bridge the gap for us and understands how to run a central Mass community. But it sounds like by other choices that, the board has other, Tom Guarino was another one, I think 2 people picked. So I don't know if, I'd like you guys to drive the conversation on as far as, what your thoughts are for 2 more candidates, since it sounds like that Carter and Kelly will definitely be interviewed. And if you have the suggestions sort of lie pretty openly in the other ones we mentioned. So if anyone has a pitch of one particular one that they'd really like to see interviewed, we can discuss that. Ms. Roy?
So it looked like Thomas, Carter, and Nina all had 3 votes. So Kelly was unanimous, and then all those 3 candidates each had 3 votes. So they would be, that's how I landed on the 4 when I said we kind of, but I agree with you. I had picked Mr. Kozak as well. I think you and I were the 2 votes for him, and I would like to see him come in, but now we're up at 5 already. So But if we were going based off the names we just tossed out, it would be Kelly, Carter, Nina, and Thomas.
So you had 3 for Thomas?
Yes, I believe myself, Mr. Often, and Mr. Frisbee all had Thomas.
Okay. Sorry, I missed one of those votes.
Probably when you wrote down mine, like his name, writing it down.
Put it down. Yeah, that's why. Basic math. Thank you. Yeah, because I wrote down yours. Thanks, Colleen, for having my back. Okay, so that's great. So we have Thomas, we have Carter, we have Kelly, and based on discussion, I could Nina had 3 votes as well based on that, because I think Mr. Prisby had 1, myself, and Peter. So does that sound like now that I've remembered how to do math, I can say that.
I also had a vote for her.
You did. Wow. Yep. I guess I can't run a meeting and keep score of something. So
It's all good.
I'm sorry. Thank you all for your patience. Okay, so those are our 4. Nina, Carter, Kelly, and Tom. Half an hour each tomorrow. I will work with the staff on setting up those appointments. They'll be called in one at a time. And everybody has also sent their questions to our chairman. Or if you haven't, remember to do so.
Wasn't that supposed to be part of tonight, where we were just coming up with all of our questions and talking about it?
My understanding was that we were sending our questions to the chairman and that they would be asked tomorrow, because we are not revealing the questions at this meeting. Does the board agree with that or have a different opinion?
Are there a number of questions? I'm just wondering about overlap.
Well, staff and our chairman will take care of that. And I think I'll be copied on it too, so I can kind of help, collaborate everything together. So that's why we're each sending 2 questions. I'm sure some of them won't be unique, but even if we have a total of 5 questions for a 30-minute interview, I think that'll be sufficient.
Makes sense. Okay, thanks.
Okay, any more discussion on this, or do you think we need a vote? If so, I'll take a motion if necessary for choosing those 4 as finalists. Mr. Prisby.
How is this going to work, practically speaking? Someone's going to reach out to these 4 particular people and invite them tomorrow night to be available for a Zoom meeting?
Correct. So when I sent out the advertisement, I had mentioned that resumes were due at noon today and that they needed to be available for the meeting tomorrow evening for interviews. Finalists would be contacted. So I will work with the town administrator's office tomorrow. They will be contacting these people, and they won't be brought into the Zoom meeting altogether. They'll be brought in one at a time. So I'll work with staff to set up particular appointment times, and we'll handle it that way. So
that was my next question. It would have been a little bit awkward if they were all in the room at the same time.
Right.
Okay. Well, I suppose I will move that we direct staff to invite Thomas Garino, Nina Nazarian, Carter Terenzini, and Kelly Hebert to interview with us tomorrow evening via Zoom for the temporary town administrator position.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, just quickly, can we allow 40 minutes just in case there's an extra question, so that there's a little gap between them? I just want to give enough space for us to be able to operate tomorrow.
I think that's a great idea, and I'll make sure that happens, especially if we need time to talk in between candidates as a board. So does everybody agree that 40 minutes is enough time, or do you want me to make it 45, 40? Ms. Roy?
Yeah, I like 40. The other thing I was going to add is, can we send like an email thanking the other candidates for their interest as well?
Absolutely.
Good idea.
Great idea. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, by roll call, Mr. Prisby,
Frisbee, aye.
Ms. Roy,
Roy, aye.
Mr. Often,
Often, aye.
and DeFazio, aye. So I declare the motion carried 4-0. Thank you all so much. And you will be getting follow-up in writing tomorrow too, just to confirm everything that'll be happening tomorrow. So I'll make sure that the board is aware of what candidates will be coming in at what time as well. And the second thing I have on the agenda tonight is just a quick discussion on solicitation of the consulting recruiting firms and any necessary action that we have to take. So, you know, we had a discussion at last week's meeting, and I think, to my recollection, we kind of agreed unanimously that hiring an outside firm would be worth the time, money, and effort to do. And our chairman had suggested, you know, soliciting quotes. So I had forwarded one to the board last week, and I received another one, I think, via Mr. Prisby through our chair. And so ideally we should get at least one more quote. And I think Colleen had reached out to another firm. So I didn't know if Colleen, if you wanted to reach out or if you wanted to send me the name of that firm, and I could do that. But again, I will be working with staff on kind of an overall scope of work and soliciting at least 3 quotes, because it's under 10,000. We don't have to go out to bid and go through the RFP process, but this is just, you know, for still, you know, probably choosing the lowest bid based on what our scope is. And so I'd like to get that as soon as possible. So when we're ready to move ahead in choosing a recruiting firm, we have all the information necessary.
So after our meeting last week, I reached out to MRI Consulting, and they did provide me an estimate this afternoon, which I had forwarded to Peter. So we have all.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. All right, so I'll follow up with Peter. It sounds like we have 3 quotes. If anyone else has any other firms besides the 3 that will be sent to the board tomorrow, then please let me know, or please let our chairman know and our staff know, and we can add it. We can definitely have more than 3, but I think just again, like best practices to have at least 3 makes sense. So, all right, thank you all. So that's all we have on the agenda tonight. That's like the fastest board meeting we've had to date.
Well run. Very well done.
Well, I don't know. I can't do basic math, but besides that, you guys.
We got your back.
So thank you so much.
All
Well
right.
done, Madam Chair. Well done.
So I will see you all tomorrow night. I will take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? By roll call, Mr. Prisby,
Frisbee, aye.
Ms. Roy,
Roy, aye.
Mr. Often,
Often, aye.
DeFazio, aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.